Hey, so you've seen the thumbnail, so you know what this video is about. It's the GFI Enieqma. And because I don't want to waste anybody's time, and this might be a bit of a long video, let's jump right in and see what this thing can do in several places in our rig. I just have a quick housekeeping bit to do before we go, which is, this isn't a paid video. The great people at GFI sent me the pedal so I could show you what it can do, but no money has changed hands, and they don't have any editorial control over this video, i.e. they don't know what I'm saying, they're not going to see it before you do, and yeah, anything you see here, it's me, most of it unscripted. We're going to be running through a few setups today, but first one, guitar into the GFI Enieqma, into my Marshall SV20, so the mini plexi, out of the Marshall into a Torpedo Captor 8, into a Cap M+, into a Plethora X3, just for a tiny bit of reverb, eventually some delay if I decide to go off on one. I already made all of the connections, the only thing missing is powering up the Enieqma. Firmware revision 1004, this is relatively recent, so if you don't have it yet, go get it from the website, and if you don't know how to update it, I believe it's the last page of the manual, will tell you exactly how to do it. Why did I start with it powered off? Because of this. In the default state, the Enieqma starts with everything off on the preset screen. You can change this behavior by long pressing the options mode type button and go down to power up state, and you can pick between bypassed and engaged. So default is bypassed. You can also, by going in the same menu, pick your power up preset. You can choose between the last used preset or your favorite preset. What is your favorite preset? Yeah, it's the one that you can pick here, also on the same global menu. So favorite preset, and here you can select between any preset. So let's leave it at 1, where it was, and see what this can do. I have just another heads up for now, which is I'm going to be making some pretty big moves in terms of EQ so that you can actually hear what I'm doing, because after the mastering of the video and YouTube compression and all of that stuff, you might not even be able to understand it if I'm just making the subtle changes that I would normally. So yeah, especially if you're listening in a mobile device. So what I'm going to be doing is probably some big sweeps so that you can hear the difference. So let's engage the pedal, and by pressing the EQ button, and you see that it starts up with whatever preset was loaded from the factory. But let's face it, you're not here for the presets. You can check those out in a shop or something. So I'll start from a blank preset and show you how you can create your own. So to swap presets, you can press and hold the EQ button, and then with the boost or the EQ, you can go up or down. And I'm going to go up to an empty preset and hold the EQ button. And what I have is a perfectly blank preset with the pedal starting in ParaEQ mode. While we're on the presets thing, you can actually use a 3-switch foot switch, or a 1-switch or a 2-switch, but a 3-switch I find very useful. GFI make one, I don't have it, so I'm going to use my Digitech FS3X, which you can't see because it doesn't fit in the camera. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. And the way I have my FS3X configured is the mode button loads the favorite preset. We've seen that before, we've seen how to pick it. That's what it does. So it alternates between favorite and whatever preset you're in. And down and up, change presets. In this situation, to load the preset, you don't need to press and hold anything. You just press the preset, the EQ button, sorry. So mode goes back to whatever your favorite was, or returns to whatever was loaded, and to change, you go up, down, tap. Nifty, eh? So I'm going to keep this here because it's relatively useful, and I'm going to go back to our clean preset. So now what do you do with this? You have all of these pots at the top. How do they work? Oh yes, activate the band first. How do you do that? You double tap the little thingy at the top, so these sensors on the screen. it's a touchscreen only on these 5 band selector thingies. So double tap will activate the band, single tap will change these controls to that band. So if you're editing your first band, so band number 1, you can change it around here. So this is gain, Q on the middle button, and frequency on the right button. Knob, I mean. If you want to now change frequency number 5, band number 5, you do this, and this, and this. Tap number 1 again, activate number 3 with a double tap. You kind of have to be relatively slow with this, because otherwise it might not register the taps. And this is how you do it. So if you want to deactivate the bands again, you do another double tap. There you go. I don't know if it's a capacitance thing with my fingers. No idea. But it works. Promise. So what types of controls are available to you? If you press and twist the mode type button, you can see them. So this is a high pass, low shelf, bell, high shelf, low pass. So in a high pass thingy, you can control, you can't control the gain. It's a high pass thingy, but you can control the Q or resonance of the filter, and you can control the frequency band. On shelf, you can control gain, Q, and frequency. And on bell, you can control, again, gain, Q, and frequency. The other 2 are symmetrical to the lower ones we've seen. And you can assign each one of these 5 types to any one of the bands. So extremely flexible, you can do whatever you want with it. So that's parametric EQ in a nutshell. What other types can we find? We can move to SImplEQ. And in SImplEQ, you don't have the 5 bands, you have whatever is written here at the bottom of the screen, which is, starting from the beginning, an emulation of the tone stack of an F-type amp, you know what it is, and you can control bass, middle, and treble, as you would on an F-type preamp. Tone stack M, tone stack V with an added mids control. You can have a bass and treble thing, which gives you shelf low and shelf high and mid-frequency thing. Oh, sorry. Again, press and twist and it changes, and you can have a fixed wah with a bass control and a frequency control and a Q control, and tilt filter that you can control the center frequency and basically which side you want it to tilt to, and a scoop tilt, which does the same thing but with a mid scoop that you can control the depth of with the middle button. Okay, we're in it. Let's do the Pultec. Pultec is an emulation of the, what's the number? MIMEQ3, I think, in which you have low peak, mid dip, and high peak. And you can control the frequency, the center frequency, by pressing, holding, and twisting the pot. So low goes from 200 to 1000 Hertz, mid from 200 to 7000, and high peak from 1500 to 5000 Hertz. So we'll maybe look at this a bit later. The other thing, you can have 2 EQs in series, parametric and simple, or parametric and Pultec. So it sums the effects of both. So if in ParaEq you have this curve and in SImplEQ you have this one, when you select para and simple, you get the sum of both curves. same with ParaEQ and Pultec. You get the sum of ParaEQ curve. With Pultec curve, it's this. Oh, and you can also control which one of the EQs you want to fiddle with on the controls. You press the volume button, and whichever EQ is breathing on the LED is the one that's being controlled by all of these. So if I touch it again, it goes to the parametric EQ, so I can control the one band that I was using, which is this one, like so. And why does this knob have the label volume boost? Because that's what you can control, the master volume of the preset, so between -9 and +9, or the level of the built-in boost. Oh yeah, it does. It has a built-in boost here, clean boost, that can operate independently of the EQ. So we have pushed the amp a bit in the mids, and we've tightened up the bottom end by doing this, which is the basic move that everybody does with an EQ pedal. But I actually want to try and do something else, because as you've heard, my bypass sound is already quite driving, right? It's a Marshall. You don't play clean with a Marshall. But the thing is, sometimes you need to play clean with a band, so you can do this. Which, yeah, guitar controls at maximum. And how do I achieve that, you may ask? Okay, so I've got a parametric EQ filtering off top and bottom, and I've got a simple EQ on a F-type tone stack, and I've cut the volume by 9 dB. And what you get is a way of cleaning up your amp when it's driving back to edge of breakup thing. So when you disengage the EQ, it goes back to driving, and you can still add the boost. So the most observant among you might have seen earlier something in the SImplEQ that was, how do I get there now? Yeah, this, the wah. Interesting, right? Let's see what it does. Sounds wide to me. So, interesting for cocked bar sounds, right? But it'd be nice if we could actually do something more wah-y with it. And we can, with an expression pedal. Problem is, the Enieqma does not have an expression pedal port, so you're going to need something else. You're going to need this, a MIDI controller, which, if you've ever seen this channel before, you know I'm a fan of the Ampere control. And I'm going to use the Ampere press thingy, pedal, expression, and I'm going to plug this in. Be right back. So, yeah, back. I've got the Hot Run Ampere control now plugged into the Enieqma with a MIDI cable. Please don't forget the Enieqma needs to take a TRS Type A MIDI cable, which is this red one that I've got here. And I have the Ampere press, which I showed you earlier, at my feet, because I'm using it. And it's plugged into the expression pedal port of the Ampere control. And the way that this is working is I have the Ampere press, the expression pedal, is configured to send CC71 messages from 0 to 127 to the Enieqma. In this case, I have changed the Enieqma to be channel 11 MIDI. In case you don't know how to do that, press the mode type button and hold it to get to the global settings, scroll down to MIDI channel, press MIDI channel. It comes from the factory at channel 1. I put it on channel 11 so I could integrate it with the rest of my system. And that's how you do it. You just flick back and forth there and pick whichever channel you want. I'm going to put it back to channel 11, press OK, and this is the wah working. Okay, so it's actually really cool to see it update on screen. Sometimes the update isn't as quick as the sound, but I don't care about the update on screen. I want to hear the sound, right? So here's what it... And as we saw earlier, you can actually configure the amount of bass. So this is bass at 100. And no bass. So you go from a very thick wah sound to... And you can also configure the Q, so how pointy, how peaky it is. A very low Q. And in case you haven't noticed, you can control pretty much every parameter on the Enieqma via MIDI. It's quite impressive. And yeah, let's move on to the next thing, which I'm going to put the Enieqma in the effects loop of the Marshall, see what we can do with it there. Back in a moment. So that's the Enieqma now plugged straight into the effects loop of the Marshall. And as you can probably hear from the intro, what I was trying to do is get it to be a bit more focused. So this is the Marshall obviously cranked to, but 3 or 4 or something. So mini plexi is going to be doing whatever mini plexi does. So it's already quite aggressive, but if we focus it a bit by giving it just a tiny touch up on the high end and a little bit on the mids and take out a bit of low end, you get. And of course, because it's a Marshall and it's already driving the power tubes, you can also give it a bit of a boost, which in this case I've set to be plus 8 dB. And of course, when you engage the boost in the effects loop of a Marshall amp, if the Marshall amp is already cranked, the only thing you're going to get is more gain. You don't get volume. If you were to do this on an amp that uses 6L6s, for instance, on the power amp, you would probably get a boost in volume. It's a Marshall. No, it's already loud. So, next up, we're going to be talking about the routing modes on the Enieqma. And we're going to split from, let me check. So I go to globals, input-output routing, and instead of going mono in, stereo out, we might try dual mono. Back in a moment. So, dual mono, in case you didn't see how to get there, long press mode type thing, get to I/O routing, and flick it to dual mono. It's the second item on the screen. And as you can see, now whatever goes into the left input comes out the left output, whatever comes into the right input comes out the right output. So this allows you to process two different things with either the same EQs or different EQs on each channel. So let's look at this. What I've done now is plug my guitar in to the Enieqma, left channel, out of the Enieqma into the Taishi, out of the Taishi back into the right channel of the Enieqma. I'm having to use a Y splitter cable because obviously the Enieqma only has one input, but it's a TRS input, so tip, left, ring, right. So if you want to do this, you're going to need to find a splitter cable to connect two different things into a TRS input. And what I'm trying to do here is process the sound of my guitar before it goes into the Taishi, and after it comes out of the Taishi into the amp. I've changed amps now. I'm using the Studio Classic, so JCM 800 20 watts, because I needed a really clean channel so that the Taishi can be at its best. This is what I have right now, so I'm going to turn the EQ off, so everything's off, guitar into amp. I did say that Marshalls don't do clean, right? Wrong. JCM 800 clean channel, so the low input is actually a really nice pedal platform. Yeah. To take full advantage of the Enieqma in this situation, we are going to want to, because we're doing a pre and a post EQ, we are going to want to split the left and right channels in terms of controls, not just in terms of routing, but in terms of controls. So we can press the button, not a long press now, it's just one press, and scroll to channel mode EQ, press, go to independent, press again, and now you see that the left and right letters are different colors. So if you want to tweak the left settings, long press the first band thingy, and now L is brighter than R. If you want to control right, long press, and now right, R is brighter than left. So obviously I've got everything flat, so you can't hear anything, any difference, but I'm going to go into the left channel, and I'm going to create a mid bump to try and push the Taishi a bit more. And obviously I'm going to exaggerate all of this so you can actually hear the difference. So I'm going to activate the band number 3, and I'm going to put it around, well, let's do around 700 Hertz, just to annoy the Tube Screamer haters. Nice cue, bit of a bump. So we get this. So we can hear that it is pushing harder. If we want to push it even harder, we can just give it a tiny volume boost, so another 3 dB or so. Again, I'm not touching the Taishi, but you can hear that the guitar is now pushing it harder because of the Enieqma. Obviously, if you want to go crazy, you can give it a clean boost. I'm going to give it a clean boost of 6 dB, but I have an issue right here, because as you can see, when I'm changing the settings, both channels are changing at the same time, right? Let's unlink this too. So click. Ooh, not what I wanted to do. I want to go here. So channel boost, independent. And now when I come here, I can set both independently, but I don't want the right boost to get there just yet. So I'm going to click to go to the right channel and cut my boost to 0. Okay. So now when I engage my boost on the left channel, and here's the thing, when you engage the boost, you engage it for both channels at the same time. There is no independent control to activate the boost. Be nice if it was, there isn't. But when you activate the boost, then you're going to now get 6 dB on the left channel, 0 on the right. And you heard the Taishi getting even more compressed. There was a tiny little bump in volume because it's still not fully saturated, but it compressed even more. So everything off. EQ. Boost. And now what I'm going to do is go to the right channel, i.e. the post Taishi, and I'm going to try and cut down on the mids in a similar amount to what I just added. But because this is after the overdrive, it's not going to cut the compression of the overdrive. It's just going to scoop out the added mids that we added. That doesn't, yeah, that. So, right channel, activate the third band, and I'm going to put it roughly on the same place and scoop. Open the cubic. So the character of the overdrive didn't change, but the mids did. See, now, wouldn't it be good if you could actually just switch one EQ in and one EQ out? Yes, it would. That's why the FX3X is here. Because you can, with these two, whichever switches you want, you have the option, coming to globals again, of picking on the aux switch tip ring and tip plus ring. You can select the function that you want. So let's see where it is. It's, sorry, I always get confused with these. Ring. If you press on the ring, so what used to be preset down, we are now going to go to bypass engage EQ L, and we're going to go back to the menu. And on the tip ring, which is that one, we're going to do bypass engage EQ R. Let's press OK. And now this one, you can see the letter L and R coming alive or not. So in this situation, for instance, the orange is on, so the pedal is engaged, but none of the EQs are on. Now the right EQ is on, and you can hear the mid dip, but there is no saturation on the tie sheet until we engage. And if I disengage the right channel, we're going to get the mids back. Very good way of changing the character of that favorite overdrive that you have, but you wish that could do something different sometimes. This is a very good way of doing it. Next up, I'm going to throw the Enieqma after my torpedo captor so that we can have a bit of stereo fun. See you in a second. We're back with I/O routing back to mono in, stereo out, because now my signal chain is guitar, JCM 800, JCM 800 into torpedo captor, into cabin plus, out of the cabin plus into the Enieqma in mono, and out of the Enieqma in stereo into the Plethora X3, which gives you the reverb that you can hear. So what are the advantages of this? Your amplifier is now out of the equation, so everything you do in terms of EQ is a lot more direct, because it's not being absorbed and transformed by the amp. So to me, this is where the Pultec starts shining. So we show you. In case you didn't catch it, on the Pultec now each one of these three knobs is the gain of each frequency band. So low, mid, high. Thing is, lows go up and the mid dips. And if you want to change the frequency band, press and twist on the band that you want to change. And now, because your amp is no longer in the way, when you boost, you really get a level boost. So that was a 6.5 dB boost. Now there's another funny thing you can do with Enieqma. You see equalize and expand here in the title. Press that, go to stereo expander, and you have two modes, short delay or dimensional expansion. Short delay adds a tiny bit of delay between 0 and 20 milliseconds to the right channel and leaves the left unprocessed. So let's try that. Short delay at 10 milliseconds right in the middle. Start with off. Interesting. The other mode, dimensional expansion. According to the manual, this is a type of dimensional chorus effect that can be applied to between 0 and 100%, I think. Let's try it at default value of 40%, see what happens. Just for the heck of it, let's try this at 100%. It's almost like a rotary speaker. Quite interesting, so let's get it down again to a more conservative 40% value. So while we're still in this mode, mono in, stereo out, and using the stereo, there's one more thing that we need to check, because we haven't still talking about prototypes and some of the things that this can do. Let me rewire this, I'll come back in a second. I've simplified this even more. Guitar, Enieqma, Plethora X3, straight to the interface. No amp. Let me show you. Sounds as good as you'd expect any guitar to sound plugged straight into an interface, but with reverb. And why did I do that? Prototypes. Let's turn this on. Make sure that it's in parametric EQ. Press the options button and go to the prototypes menu. And we can see a whole bunch of stuff in here. So electric clean, chime, new face bang, blah, blah, blah. What are prototypes? These are built-in presets, for lack of a better word. So preset EQ curves, they are constant. You cannot delete them, you cannot override them, so they're permanent in the Enieqma's memory. That will give you starting points for EQs. And very interesting. Oh, I have to do this one. Old radio. Bear with me for a second. This is fun. When you come to this menu, you can very much back to the telephone. So you can load them into the Enieqma, into the preset that you're working on, and gives you a starting point to work from. And there's a bunch of them here that at the end of this 44 unit list on the parametric EQ, there's a bunch of them that kind of simulate the response curve of different speakers. So I'm going to go down, well, let's load the Jensen Alnico speaker. So, is this an IR? No. Impulse responses give you the dynamic response or simulation of the dynamic response of the speaker. This doesn't. This only gives you the EQ curve, the generic EQ curve. Still better than nothing. But what we have here right now is a simulation of your guitar plugged straight into a power amp, like a solid state power amp that just responds to everything you give it, into a speaker. We can go one better. Put this in SImplEQ and press and twist to tone stack FMV. I'm going to go with F. and adjust the gain to, I don't know, the gains, I mean, see. You see where I'm going with this? Now you have an emulation of a tone stack, but you lost the speaker emulation, right? No longer. If you carry on, you can add the SImplEQ to the parametric EQ. And you've got a really nice rounded guitar sound, clean sound. There's no dynamics in this, there's no distortion. I lied, there's dynamics. It does have a limiter, but it's designed to catch peaks. It's not really designed to emulate a power section of an amplifier, so I'm not going to go there just yet. But there's nothing stopping you from adding something like an optical compressor or a light overdrive to the input of this, and you might get away with it. And do you want better? Let's unlink the EQ and put it in independent mode. And yeah, let's tweak the right hand side. If you noticed, when I unlinked the EQs, it copied the settings from one side to the next. I'm now going to just very lightly tweak them to be slightly different. If I move to the parametric EQ, I'm going to go back to my prototypes and load a different prototype for a different speaker on my right hand side. And as you can see, we have very different EQ curves now on both sides. And yes, I can do one better. Let's go for stereo expander and dimensional expansion. Yep, I've heard worse guitar tones coming from amps. So, where are we going next from here? Well, this is already a very long video, so I'm only going to do one final thing. Needs a bit of rewiring. Back in a second. I didn't mention, but this can also be used with acoustic guitar and with bass guitar. So, thing is, you might not want to listen to me playing bass guitar, and it's late, so my neighbors will not want to listen to me play acoustic guitar at this time. So I went for synth guitar. I've got the Boss SY200 guitar into the Boss, into the Enieqma, into the plethora, straight into the interface, and let's see what happens. Relatively standard lead tone. Turning the Enieqma on. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I've got it plugged in again to the ampere control and an expression pedal, which is controlling the frequency of a low-pass filter. And, of course, we can always go back to the stereo expanders section and put in short delay. dimensional expansion with, I don't know, let's try 80%. What do we have on the pad section? So once again, without. Interesting but quite static. I think I'm gonna have to leave it at that. This is already a very long video, but I've got other ideas, such as putting the Enieqma in the effects loop of 2290, for instance. Might get to it at some point. So now, for some of the things that I would like to see it do in a future revision, firmware revision, if possible, I would love if in unlinked mode it would be possible to actually load different types of EQs in left and right. Right now you can't. Even when you unlink it, you have to have both parametric, both simple, both Pultec, etc. So you can't, for instance, load a parametric on one side and a simple on another. What you can do is load para plus simple, leave one of them flat and tweak the other, leave another one flat and tweak the other. But that precludes the usage of the simple and the Pultec at the same time, because there is no mode that allows those two. Another thing that would be really cool would be a real-time analyzer with jumping frequencies. I'm not sure if that would be at all possible, but it would be really cool, especially if we could have that on the limiter section, just to see input levels and gain reduction. That'd be really lovely. And the other thing that I would like to see, but I understand that the pedal format might not make that very easy, would be a fully independent boost control for, again, in unlinked mode, boost L and boost R. Because the way that it is right now, you always have to turn both boosts on. The only thing you can do is actually have one of them at 0 and the other one with the value that you want. So I'd love to see it do the same thing that it does with the EQ and allow you to turn each channel on and off independently. Maybe with MIDI or the external foot switch or something it would be possible. And yeah, that's it for today. Once again, thank you very much to the really lovely people at GFI for sending me the Enieqma. To everybody else, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please click like, hit subscribe. And if you want to support what I'm doing here, there's a Ko-fi link in the description. Let me know what you would do with one of these. Let me know if you have it, what you're using it for, and I will see you next time.